Good morning to everyone. In the last class, it means yesterday we are learning about ionic bonding and the general characteristics of ionic bonding. We know that bonding means equally sharing or mutually sharing of electrons. In that there are three types of bonds, that is ionic bonding, covalent bonding and coordinate bonding. In that the ionic bonding is the atom completely donates one or more electrons to the other atom. It is called a ionic bonding. And covalent bond is if the atom shares equal number of electron, that is called it as a covalent bonding. And lastly is coordinate bond. If an atom donates a pair of electrons and that electron should be present in between two atoms, that is called it as a coordinate bond. And in that we have to know about the example for ionic bonding. It means equally sharing of electrons. I already told that equally sharing of electrons if one atom donates and if one atom is accepts. It means when the atom donates an electron, it carries a positive charge, and an atom it accepts an electron, it carries a negative charge. In that they are mutually share the electrons in the outermost shell of the orbital. Okay. Next, general characteristics of ionic bonding. It has non-directional. First one is non-directional bond. It means the ionic bond, it does not have any direction. We can write in all the directions. Second one is conductance of electricity. It conducts electricity in a molten state as well as a solution state, and it has a high melting point and boiling point because the force of attraction between the two atoms are strong. So that's why it has a high melting point and boiling point state. Usually ionic compounds are in solid state. Density, it has a strong density because it has a strong electrostatic force of attraction. So that's why it has a strong density. And lastly is lattice energy. Lattice energy, it means 1 mole of cation and 1 mole of anion to form a 1 mole of ionic compound. The energy required to form an 1 mole of cation to 1 mole of anion to give a 1 mole of ionic compound. That should be called it as a lattice energy. When the cationic charges or anionic charges increases, the bond formation, it means the bond length will be decreases. Got it? When the ionic charges are increases, the bond length will be decreases. Then higher the lattice energy, higher the bond formation. It is higher the bond formation. Then higher the lattice energy, it is electrostatic force of attraction should also be a high. This is the last class we learn about this. So then in today's class we learn about solvation energy or hydration energy. Solvation energy, solvation, it means the solid compound. It means the compound should be dissolved in solvent. That should be called it as a solvation. In that solvation energy, the definition is there: when a gaseous cation and a gaseous anion interacts with the solvent or water, they form a solvated cation or anion. And in this way the energy is released. That energy is called it as a solvation energy. Got it? When gaseous, here the cations and the anion should be in gaseous state. Okay, that should be cation and anion interacts with the solvent, any other solvent, or it may be water. In that water we will call it as a universal solvent because it dissolves all the solute particles. So that's why we will call it as a water is a universal solvent. When gaseous cation and gaseous anion interacts with solvent or that water, they form a solvated cation and solvated anion. It means they have a water molecules. In that, the cations and anions are surrounded by the water molecules. So that's why it should be called it as a solvated cation or anion. And when the cations and anions are surrounded by water molecule, when the energy will be released, that energy is called it as a solvation energy. Got it? It means when some solid, here we will take it as an ionic compound. Okay, NaCl for example. NaCl that should be dissolved in water. When NaCl start to dissolving in water, the energy will be released. That energy is called it as a solvation energy. Okay, the solvation energy is directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to size. Solvation energy is directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to size. Got it? So solvation energy is dependent of charge and size. Okay, directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to size. Okay, this is the definition of solvation energy. Then we move on to the role of lattice energy and hydration energy in the solubility of ionic solid. It means when the ionic solid that should be dissolved in the water, what should be the lattice energy and hydration energy role? We have to know about that. Here we are taking in 2 steps, the role of lattice energy and hydration energy in the solubility of ionic solid. Okay, step 1 is the breaking of the crystal lattice. It means breaking of the crystal lattice. How to break the crystal lattice? It means when the solid that should be dissolved in solvent, the bond will be break down. It will be dissociate to give cations and anions. And here the gaseous ions, it means the solid ion that should be converted into gaseous ion. This should be called it as a lattice energy. Here the heat will be absorbed. The heat will be absorbed, or it may be energy will be absorbed. Got it? Step 1 is the breaking of the crystal lattice. It means the breaking of the crystal lattice by ion solvent interaction to set free the gaseous ions. This involves absorption of energy. This is called lattice energy. It means when we take a solid compound, for example salt, NaCl, common salt, sodium chloride, that should be dissolved in water. Okay, the sodium chloride that should be, the ionic bond will be break down in water. It gives a sodium ion and chloride ions. When the sodium chloride that should be dissociate into sodium ion and a chlorine ion, the energy will be absorbed. Got it? The energy will be absorbed. That should be called it as a lattice energy. The absorption energy is called it as a lattice energy, and it should be converted to gaseous ion. Keep it in your mind. The ions will be in gaseous state. Okay, that energy will be a lattice energy. This reaction is endothermic because it is absorbed, not it is liberated. Here it is absorbed. So that's why the reaction is endothermic. Got it? The step 1 is here. You have to see this. Here we taking a general example, a plus and x minus, that should be in solid state. Here some energy is what? Absorbed agatte. So that's why we are writing in the reactant side. When the energy is released, we have to writing in the product side. So that's why here U means it is nothing but lattice energy. Lattice energy is denoted by U. Got it? Don't miss it. Okay. Then that should be converted into A plus ion and X minus ion. I already told that the ions will be in the gaseous state. Please don't miss it. You have to write in the gaseous state. Okay, here you have to see solid. Some energy is absorbed. So it gives a gaseous ion. Here the bond will be break. This crystal lattice is also a break. So that's why step 1 is the breaking of the crystal lattice. I think all of you got it. Okay. Next we move on to the step 2. Here the isolated gaseous ion. It means in the step 1 we getting a gaseous ion. That should be gaseous ion gets hydrated. Hydrated means water molecules are present in the ions. Got it? Unhydrated means there is no water molecules present in the ions. Hydrated means the water molecules present in the ions. Okay. In that the water molecules are surrounded by the ions. Thus the ions are converted to hydrated ions. In that some energy is released. It means heat energy is released. So this reaction is exothermic. I already told that when the energy is absorbed, the reaction is endothermic. When energy is released, the reaction is exothermic. Here you have to see gaseous ion. Isolated gaseous ions are there. That should be hydrated. How? The gaseous ions are treated with solvent molecules like water. Water should be surrounded by the gaseous ions. Then the gaseous ions are get hydrated. Okay. And in that some high energy is released. This should be called it as a hydration. Hydration energy or hydration process. And when the liberation of energy takes place, that reaction is exothermic. This reaction is exothermic. Mind it. When the energy is absorbed, the reaction is endothermic. When the energy is released, the reaction is exothermic. Okay. Here I am giving some mechanism like this. You have to see this as general rule for an ionic solid. When the ionic solid is dissolved in a particular solvent, we will take it as a water. Okay. Water. The hydration energy must be greater than its lattice energy. Listen, when the hydration energy must be greater than the lattice energy, then that only the solid will be dissolved in the solvent. Got it? The hydration energy must be greater than the lattice energy. In that way only the solute particle should be dissolved in the solvent particle. Got it? It means the hydration should be greater. When the hydration energy must be greater than the lattice energy, that way the ionic solids should be dissolved in the solvent. I think you get the point. It means lattice energy should be lesser. Okay. When the lattice energy is greater than the hydration energy, the ionic solid does not dissolve in the solvent molecules. Here you have to see this. When A plus and X minus, generally I am taking solid, that should be dissolved in the some solvent like water. That should be called it as a delta H solution. H means you already know about that enthalpy. This will be enthalpy of solution. The water molecule should be surrounded by cations and anions. It gives A plus hydrated plus X minus hydrated. Okay, this is the main reaction. In that we have to take a lattice energy. It means some energy is absorbed. It should be converted into gaseous ions. These isolated gaseous ions are get hydrated. We get a hydrated cation and hydrated anion. Okay, so in that way we know that enthalpy of solution is equal to sum of the energy absorbed. It means lattice energy, and energy released. It means hydration energy. Got it? When the enthalpy of solution is, that should be equal to sum of the lattice energy and the hydration energy. Got it? This is the step. It means the role of lattice energy and the hydration energy of the crystal lattice. I think you already know about that. I will tell you once again. It means the role of first step is breaking of the crystal lattice. The solid will be breaking. It means some solid particles that should be dissolved in the solvent. In that the solid particles are dissociate. For the dissociation of solid particles, it needs some energy absorption. So that will be lattice energy. That reaction is called it as a endothermic. And step 2 is the isolated gaseous ions that should be gets hydrated. It means the gaseous ions are surrounded by water molecules, and that the some energy is released. Here you have to observe this. The energy release was written by product side. You have to note about that. Okay. Then the solid enthalpy of solution, it gives a hydrated cation and anion. It means the ionic solid, some energy is absorbed. It gives a gaseous ions. This gaseous ions is hydrated. It gives a hydrated cation and anion. It means that therefore delta H solution is equal to lattice energy plus hydration energy. And in that, very important, when the dissolution, it means the ionic solid undergo dissolution, the hydration energy must be greater than the lattice energy. Please note that point. When the ionic solid undergo dissolution means some solid particles are dissolved in solvent. Okay, that should be the hydration energy must be greater than the lattice energy. Got it? This is about the role of lattice energy and hydration energy in the solubility of ionic solids. Okay, next we move on to the Born-Lande equation. It means Born-Lande equation. This equation is used to calculate the lattice energy of a crystalline ionic compound. Got it? This equation is used to calculate the lattice energy of a crystalline of ionic compound. In that, the Max Born and Lande proposed a equation in 1918 for the calculation of lattice energy. Okay, here there is no derivation, only a equation should be given, and by using this equation we can calculate one example. Okay, E is equal to NaM Z plus Z minus E square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R naught into 1 minus 1 by N. The SI unit is joule per mole. Okay, E is the lattice energy, or it may be potential energy also. Na is Avogadro constant. M is Madelung constant. It means that should be related to the geometry of the crystal. It may be tetrahedral, octahedral, which crystal lattice you have given, that the geometry of the crystal lattice should be belongs to M. Z plus is charge number of cation. Z minus is charge number of anion. It means when you have given some ionic compound, for example NaCl or magnesium chloride, sodium, it carries a +1 charge because it donates only a +1 electron, only 1 electron. Chlorine carries a -1 charge because chlorine, it accepts only a 1 electron. Or in magnesium chloride, magnesium carries a +2, chlorine is always carries a -1. Here magnesium, it donates a 2 electron, chlorine, it accepts a 1 electron. In that magnesium chloride, the molecular formula is MgCl2. Here there are 2 chlorine atom, so that's why one chlorine atom accepts 1 electron and other chlorine atom accepts other electron. That is the charge number. How many electrons are donated? Z plus is cation, how many electrons are donated, and Z minus is charge number of anion, how much electrons are accepted. Okay, E is equal to elementary charge. Elementary charge, they have a constant value 1.6022 into 10 to the power of -19 coulomb. Okay, next epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. Permittivity of free space. This will be used to store potential energy. This epsilon naught is used to store potential energy under the influence of electric field. Got it? Then next R naught. R naught is the distance to closest ion. Distance to closest ion. Okay. Next N. N is the Born exponent. That should be also a constant value. This should be given for you. Okay, that will be in between 5 to 12. The values must be in between 5 to 12 N value. Okay, got it? There is a Born-Lande equation that should be used for the calculation of lattice energy in ionic solid. E is equal to NaMZ plus Z minus E square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R naught into 1 minus 1 by N. The unit is joule per mole, or it may be kilojoule per mole also. Okay. Next, move on to the one example. Calculate the lattice energy of sodium chloride. Here they are giving a sodium chloride crystal using Born-Lande equation from the following data. Here Z plus is equal to Z minus is equal to 1. It means charge of cation and charge of anion, that should be 1. I already told that NaCl, sodium, it donates a 1 electron, so that's why it carries a +1 charge, and chlorine, it accepts a 1 electron, so that's why it carries a -1 charge. M is equal to constant value 1.7476. Na is Avogadro number. You have already know that the value of Avogadro number, that is 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23, and R naught is the 2.76 angstrom unit. A naught means angstrom. N is equal to 8. 4 pi epsilon naught, they are giving whole value. 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to 1.112 into 10 to the power of -10 coulomb. C is coulomb square per joule into meter. Okay, this should be the problem. Got it? calculate the lattice energy of NaCl crystal using Born-Lande equation from the following data. Now move on to the solution. Here the R0 value that should be converted to meter, because 4 pi epsilon naught is in meter, so that's why we have to convert it to meter. R0 is equal to 2.76 angstrom. Angstrom means 10 to the power of minus 10. Angstrom that should be converted to meter. It means 10 to the power of minus 10 meter. 2.76 into 10 to the power of minus 10 meter. Okay. Then substitute the values. 6.023 Avogadro number value and M value and Z plus and Z minus value into 1 point, next E value 1.0602 into 10 to the power of minus 19. Okay, and N value and 4 pi epsilon naught and R naught value. Here I have to see this. You have to multiply those things and carry the power charges. Okay, here Na has 23 Avogadro number 10 to the power of 23. Here 10 to the power of minus 19. 19 twos are how much? It gives the 23 that should be subtracted by the 38. It gives a 10 to the power of minus 15. In the denominator we have to multiply those values and we have to add a powers. Okay, it gives a 10 to the power of minus 20 and that should be take a LCM. 8 should be the LCM. We have to take that value and divided those values and multiplied this 8 minus 1 divided by 8. It gives 0.875 and in the denominator power should be raised to the numerator. It gives a plus 20. 15 should be subtracted by 20. It gives a 10 to the power of 5. I already told that the SI unit of E is joule per mole. Please don't miss the written of SI unit. Okay, then E is equal to 7.7014 into 10 to the power of 5 joule per mole. You can stop at this stage. If in case you have to convert it into kilojoule per mole, you have to shift the 2 points to the right side. I will show you in the arrow mark. It means 7.70. In that 0 it carries a point charge. In that, when the points are shifted to right side, there will be minus. We have to minus the points. It means how many points will be shifted. We have to minus that points. Here we are shifting a 2 points. So in that 10 to the power of 5 we have to minus a 2 points. We are getting 770.14 into 10 to the power of 3 joule per mole. Okay, kilo means 1000. Here no, 1000 we have to write 10 to the power of 3 also. So that's why 10 to the power of 3 that should be written as kilo joule per mole. You have to write stop at the joule per mole also. If in case, you can also extend it to kilojoule per mole. This is the example for calculation of lattice energy of sodium chloride crystal by using a Born-Lande equation. Got it? I will explain you once again. There will be a data is there. You have to substitute and calculate, and mainly you have to carry the powers. Okay, and then you have to calculate up to 7.7014 into 10 to the power of 5 joule per mole. When we shifting the points to right side, we have to minus how much the points will be shifted, that points should be minus. It means we are shifting 2 points, we have to minus the 2 points. When we are shifting 1 point, we have to subtract the 1 point. Okay, we are shifting 2 points, so that's why in 10 to the power of 5 we have to minus 2. We are getting 10 to the power of 3. That 10 to the power of 3 is 1000. Okay, 1000 is also called it as a kilo, no? So that's why 10 to the power of 3, that should be replaced by kilo, and the SI unit is joule per mole. Okay, this is the example for Born-Lande equation. Okay, next class I will continue the Born-Haber cycle. Okay, thank you my dear students.